everybody, it's Anne from Stampin'Up. Welcome to another card making day here in Simcoe, Ontario, where I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. If you live in Canada and you don't have your own demonstrator, you can shop with me. You can reach me at StampsNTea@gmail.com, or my demonstrator website is StampsNTea.stampinup.net. So before we carry on to the supplies and things we need, I'd like to ask you, if you watch my videos, would you leave a like or a comment if you watch it on, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you watch it. If you would leave a comment or a like, and that just helps my ratings on YouTube. Thank you. So, to get to the supplies we're going to use today, last week we used a stamp bundle called Terrific Toadstools. We're going to use that again today, and we're going to use the, what was the other stamp set? The StampsNTea stamp set. We used those two together last week. We're going to use them all again today, and I'm just going to turn the camera down and you'll see all the supplies we need and whatever we need to make the card. So this is the bundle I'm talking about, and it's in the January to April mini catalogue on page 53. It's $53 for the bundle, so you would need to add some paper or some cardstock to that to get up to your $75, which would then get you a free selection or a free item from the Celebration catalogue. Now, in the Celebration catalogue on page 8, there's this Toadstool Gardens DSP, which works just wonderfully, matches this set perfectly, and you can have that as a free item if you spend $75. So, Terrific Toadstools, stamps, and punch to punch the toadstools out. We're also going to use the StampsNTea bundle. Last week we used this stamp, the Happy Birthday. Today we're going to use Hope You're Feeling Better for the stamp. And we've got some dies. These are called stitched shapes. They're old dies, but they're really a good set of dies. I very, very seldom get rid of my dies. I very, very seldom sell them. But sets like this, where they're just sort of a basic, basic shape, you can use those on so many different cards, and I never get rid of those. We're going to use the squares today. The whole set is called Stitched Shapes, and you have ovals, circles and squares in it. We're using the squares. We've got some DSP, which is Designer Series paper. That's the package that was free, and it's got lots of beautiful patterns in it. Both sides of the paper are just lovely on every sheet. Okay. So let's get started. We've also got some basic supplies here. Put the punch over here because we need it. For basic supplies we have a Granny Apple Green card base, 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. We have an early espresso mat, which is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. We have the same size, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, basic weight for the inside of the card. We've got a piece of the DSP out of the package there. It's fresh freesia stripes on one side, and it's beautiful pink toadstools, yes, toadstools on this side. So that is 5 1/4 by 4. I've then got a couple of scraps. I'm going to punch a square out of one and do my stamping on another, and I've got 4 strips. They're about 5 inches long and they're all 1/4 inch wide. So I've got 4 strips there, and my envelope. So let's see if we can get started. What are we going to do first? First of all, we're going to take the DSP and the early espresso, and I'm going to adhere these together. There's about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. I'm just going to move that mat out and remove this in. And I'm going to use liquid adhesive to put these together, because I want to be able to slide the DSP around just a little bit if it's not quite in the right spot. Now I'm just going right around the edges here. I don't want any DSP, any glue in the middle of this sheet. Okay, so I'm going around the edges twice, making sure I've got lots of adhesive on there. Let's see if I can pick that up without dropping it on or getting myself covered in glue. It's just going to go down. We've got about a 1/16 of an inch. And because we've used the liquid adhesive, we can slide this just a little bit to get it right into position, you know. There, that's nice. Turn it over, move that back, I'll give it a rub, just to make sure it's pressed down firmly. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the center out to this piece. We've got the dies here that we talked about, and this is going to be the second largest die. Okay, now you're going to cut it as a diamond is what I'm trying to say. You're going to cut a diamond out of your card. Now I think I'm going to cut this right out of the center of my card. You could put it up top and put a sentiment down here if you want to. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut it right out of the center of my card. And I'm also going to cut a piece out of the same diamond out of white, basic white cardstock. Let me just make sure this diamond fits on there. Yes, it does. So I'm going to tape this down to the front of my card so it doesn't move. And I'm not going to measure it, I'm just going to eyeball it. Put a piece there. And a piece there. So I've taped that down to my card. I'm going to take this piece and my piece of basic white, and I'm going to cut the same diamond out of both pieces. Let me just make sure that's stuck down there. Yes. Okay, so I'm going over to the big shot and I'll be right back. So there's my white piece, and this is the piece I've cut out of the center. Now if I was careful and I placed my glue correctly or carefully, I should be able to take these two pieces apart. This is just the tape from holding the die. There it goes. I should be able to take these two and pull them apart, and I've got two pieces that I could use on another card, and I'm just going to put those over to the side because we could use them on another card another day. Now, just making sure I've got no residue from the tape. Sometimes this tape, it's 3M tape and it's really nice, but sometimes it leaves a little bit of residue on your DSP, and it just feels like you've got glue on there. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take the just get this out of the way. The 4 strips that we have, the 4 strips, these are early espresso. They're about 5 inches long and they're 1/4 inch wide each. So I'm going to take those and I'm going to put adhesive on them. Can you see everything? I can't sort of work side to side. I don't know why not. I'm not coordinated this morning, that's why not. And I'm going to put some adhesive down here, but I've got to make sure I go right to the edge. Okay. I'm going to start here on the corner of this square. And I'm just going to go like that. Lay it right down to the edge. Now be careful when you're laying these down because you can slide them because you've used liquid adhesive. Alright, so you don't want to slide it too far off the edge, and you don't want to slide it so that it's not coming right to the edge of the square. I'm just going to measure this one before I put it down to make sure I do have enough, that I've gone far enough on my strip with adhesive, and I have. So this one's going this way and it's just getting stuck right up against this one. down the edge of the square again, trying to hold it firmly in place. And you see I'm just turning my card a quarter turn every time. Now, is that going to be long enough? Yes. So if you cut these strips to 5 inches long and a quarter inch wide, and you put your card in, you cut your diamond out of the center of the card, they're going to be long enough every time. Let me just give that a little push. I'm just going to turn that over. Oh, I can't see anything. There. And one last one. And this card is called a faux shutter card. It's because it looks like the shutter on a camera. That's what it looks like. Last one, right there, and right there. Oops. And you do this before you put this piece down onto your card front, because you want to now turn it over and cut the extra pieces off. So let me just find some scissors. I don't have scissors ready. Here's a pair. And I'm just going to line my scissors up on the edge of my card base there, my basic brown there, and cut these pieces off. And they do stick to your scissors a little bit, so remember when you're finished to give your scissors a wipe with whatever you use to clean your scissors. So there's my card front, or the beginning of it. Get rid of the scraps. So now this piece is ready to go down on the front of the card base, and I'm just going to, I'm also going to tape or run adhesive around the edge of the diamond, you see, just for a little extra security. Missed a piece there. I'm going to make sure I've got it the right way up. These toadstools go up, not down. And I've got, again, about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around, so I'm just going to hold that carefully and have a look. Whoops, got a big piece of adhesive there. So now we're gonna do the stamping on here. Okay. Oops, on this mat, and I need a piece of scrap paper brought in, because I don't want to get ink, coloured ink on there. So I'm going to stamp this piece first. I've got 5 different colours of ink here. I've got Parakeet Party, Pebbled Path, Pumpkin Pie, Fresh Freesia, and Melon Mambo. So let's get started. We're going to stamp a little scene on this this little square. I'm going to start with my Parakeet Party. Now I know Parakeet Party is not the colour I used for the card base. That was Granny Apple Green. But when I stamped it on my practice piece in Granny Apple Green, it was just a little bit too dark. So I went one shade lighter, and this is Parakeet Party. Parakeet Party, yes. And I'm just going to stamp a little bit of grass here. And then I'm going to have to stamp it again underneath because my stamp isn't quite big enough. And I'm just going to fill in the space. It's grass, so it doesn't matter that it's different shades, you know, it works. But you want to get the whole of the corner piece covered in grass. That's the idea there. So I stamped it 2 or 3 times, and when it dries, you don't notice that it's, you know, 2 or 3 different sizes. Now I'm going to move my paper now, because now I'm going to stamp some stems. Okay, now I have my piece of basic white, which is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I need a sentiment on there, so I'll stamp that in just a minute. First of all, I need to stamp some stems for my toadstools, and they are going to be in pebbled path. So let's have a look. We've got the big stem for the large toadstool. We've got a medium one, and we've also got a little sprig, like a triple stem here. So this is a scrap of cardstock that I'm going to stamp these two stems on because I want to cut them out. This one is going to be stamped right on the triangle, on the diamond. Move this just right in the corner there. And again, I'm going to stamp it over here. There. That's lovely. Now on the other side of my block I have my other stems, and I'm going to stamp these just on this piece of card here. And we're going to do this. We'll just stamp them there. We'll cut this card into pieces. Oh, that didn't work very well. Okay. Must have been off the edge of my board. There, that's better. So is that all I need? I've got stems, that's all I need in pebbled path. So now we've got some pumpkin pie, and we're going to stamp the three little toadstools there, and they're going to go on this piece. These will line up nicely. You'll be able to see, if you're careful, you'll be able to see when they're lined up that you can see the edge of the darker stem through the stamp when you're lining them up. I think right about there. Yep, that worked well. Again, and we're going to turn the card and turn the stamp so that we can see where the stems are. Right about there. So you see, you could see the edge of the stem through the stamp when I was through this stamp when I was stamping the toadstools. Right, so that's done. So let's just move that out of the way. What have we got next? That's all we've got for pumpkin pie. So now we've got some fresh freesia, and we're going to stamp this toadstool here. Now, where's my punch? I need to look at my punch to see which way I want to stamp this. I'm going to turn my card upside down and stamp this the right way, I think. That's in fresh freesia. That's all we've got for fresh freesia. Now we've got some melon mambo. And we're going to stamp the other toadstool, the big one. Oh, that's stamped nicely. And we're also going to stamp, while we have the melon mambo out, we're going to stamp the sentiment on the insert for the card, and this says, "Hope you're feeling better soon." Keep it nice and straight. I'm going to turn that over because I caught the edge of the stamp with some ink. So let me just clean that off and do it again. I might have just pounded it into the stamp pad a little too hard. This time we'll check that we have no ink around the outside edges. I don't think we do. Just line this up again. Set my card straight. That's better. Okay, so that's all the stamping done. So now we have to punch some parts out. We'll get rid of this scrap of paper. We can move this out. See what we're doing. So we've got this punch here. And it punches out 2 different toadstools and a stem. So I'm going to try and punch them out without wasting too much cardstock. So, there. And you just line your toadstool up, press your punch halfway down, and then you can tip your punch and have a look to make sure you've got, you know, no white edges around. Okay, so now I have to do this one, but this piece of card is going to get in my way, and I don't want to spoil my stems. Okay. I don't want to cut into them, so I'll move those over there. This goes down. Oh, it's going to have to go this way. I did have it upside down. Sometimes it's better to take a minute and figure out which way your punched pieces are going to end up, you know, and then you can stamp them the right way. But I was in a hurry this morning, so now I'm going to punch out. Now, I want to punch this stem out. When I put this into here, like that, it's going to cut into this other stem. So I'm going to cut that out first. Now, there isn't a punch or a die for that, so I'm just going to quickly cut it out by hand. It'll only take me a second or two while I'm talking to you. I'm trying to continue talking while I do it, like that. And the beauty of having a punch is that you don't have to match the white border. You know, when you cut things out with a die, you always get a white border, or whatever colour you're using, but you always get a border around when you use a die. When you have a punch, you don't have that problem. You can just cut right around the outside edge. So now this piece can go back in the punch, and I can punch my other stem without messing up the first one. Let's get rid of those, and we've got that. Let's put the punch to one side, and we'll put the rest of this card together. So this is the piece for the inside. I might as well stick it in there right now. It's going down flat. Make sure I put the adhesive on the right side. Goes in there just like this, about a 1/16 again all the way around. Do nicely. And then we'll go back to the front. That's where this piece fits right in here, like this. Making sure I've got everything the right way up. Pop that down in there. Now when I get it in, or I think it's in, I'm going to run my fingernail around the edge, just to make sure it's all sort of tucked under the early espresso. And you can hear it sort of click when I tip, just gently tip the early espresso back to make sure the white pops right in. There it goes underneath. One more. And if it doesn't go right in, take your scissors and just press your scissors gently there, so that you get it all lying down nice and flat. Give it a little press to make sure it's stuck down firmly, and we'll put some toadstools on. Now normally when you make flowers you put the stem on the back of the flower. Toadstools, you're going to put the stem on the front. I am just going to round that a little bit, just because I think it's a little too harsh. It's just a little bit too square. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat and my liquid adhesive again. Now I've got to put the adhesive on the back of this piece because it's going on the front of the toadstool. So I just need a little bit. I think I've got a little bit too much. I think I'm just going to swipe that on there just to get the extra adhesive off. Set this, you see where the white parts sort of come together in a point there? This is going to sit right in the middle of there, just like that. I'm going to press it down and I'm going to set it down to give it a minute just to get a really good grip. We're going to do the next one, the fresh freesia, same idea, but you know what? I'm going to pick up the adhesive from here, the extra adhesive that was on my mat. That'll do. And that's going to go the same, just right there in the middle of the toadstool. And we'll set that down and give it a minute to dry. Now it only takes a second. You know, I mean, I say give it a minute to dry. It doesn't need a minute to dry. We've got some dimensionals here. And on the back of the large toadstool, I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals. Because I only want the toadstool top, or cap I think it's called, to stand up. The rest, I'm going to put a dab of glue down there, and I'm going to set this, I don't know, just pick a spot right there, press that down with, you see, so that the top is lifted up a little bit. And I'm going to do, when I put this one down, this one is going to overlap, so I only want a dimensional on this side of it. I don't even know if I need a whole dimensional, but we'll put one there. And then we'll put a dab of glue on the end of the stem, and a dab of glue just on this side, because this side is going to rest on top of the larger one. Somehow. There, that's my dimensional down, that's my stem down, and just a gentle press on the other toadstool. And that is today's card. What a sweet little card that is. So there it is, sweet little get well soon card. It's my own design. If you want to copy and share it, please do so. Just see where you saw the card made. And if you sell your cards, please put the Stampin'Up Angel stamp on, which just says all the supplies used are Stampin' Up supplies. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week. Bye.